Hey, I wanted to share on that 6-7 that I said I was going to post on. And I wanted to do it via video because I think I'm going to be making more of these if my kids let me. I saw a lot of rainbows in 2020, and my kids came home. This is an interesting timeline. My kids came home from Mother's Day out with rainbows, okay? The last week before spring break. At spring break, COVID hit, and then they didn't go back to school, okay? And I saw online a lot of moms were saying, yeah, my kids are painting rainbows, da 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 da. And some of the homeschool moms, yeah, my kids, they're painting rainbows, and they're not going to school to get this idea from other kids. And so I thought maybe it's what the Lord is saying. And then what we saw in 2020 around that time is we saw the enemy come in like a flood, right? And it was at an appointed time, okay? At the appointed time of Passover, okay? And what did we do? We all went into our houses while the indignation passed, okay? While the plague passed over. What an interesting thing, okay? So here we are, we're seeing 6-7. So 6-7, I'm like, what? And they're doing this little thing, okay? The balance scales. So I saw that and I thought, that's weird, but I'm not going to look into it, okay, unless the Lord leads me to, and he did. And it's King Agrippa. So G67 means Agrippa. And I know this word because in March of 2021, the Lord told me, Emily, you're going to have victory over your battlefield. And he used King Agrippa and Paul coming before King Agrippa, like to speak into the situation. And what it was is Paul was holding the truth, but he was being persecuted and held captive for the truth that he spoke, okay? And that's significant coming into this year. So the other day, the Lord woke me up, and he had me look at the time that I woke up. And I don't always like to do that. I don't do it unless the Lord tells me to, okay? Because it's not always prophetic. So if you just get crazy on these things, it's not going to work. So I resisted at first, but he kept telling me, Emily, it matters. It matters. And so I looked into it, and it led to King Agrippa. But it's specifically, and this is very important, it specifically was where where King Agrippa says, I'm sitting upon the judgment seat. And the Lord was saying to me, now I sit on this is an appointed time. We're coming up to another appointed time. And he's saying, now I sit upon the judgment seat. And so we're going to start to see these things manifest in the earth. And we're going to start to see a retreating away, okay, of the flood. That's okay. And in my own personal life, every aspect of my life is covered in a flood. And ironically, during this season, I go to a Goodwill and I find a little a rainbow of Noah's Ark, and I just know that I'm supposed to get it because at the time it lined up with the message that the Lord was carrying in my heart. And so, anyways, we're coming into a time of judgment where the Lord is going to judge the enemy, okay, and for those of people that have aligned with that agenda, it's going to be a hard thing, okay? We're going to be stripped away because some of our identities are still stuck in that, okay? And so we have to allow the Lord to strip those things from us so that we come into our true identity. And what you're going to see is, it says when the enemy comes in like a flood, he raises up a standard in the earth, okay? And so what we're going to start to see is the standards start to rise. We're going to see the people that really were speaking the truth then and were persecuted. Now the truth, the gospel, listen, the true gospel is going to spread across the earth. And let me tell you, the true gospel is a hard sell. We see these mass churches, okay, selling a feel-good gospel, a behavior change gospel, but the heart does not change. And there's a scripture that says in Proverbs that says it's the cutting, it's the hurt that cuts and cleanses the heart from evil. And that is true. And what we're seeing a feel-good gospel being preached, but now we need the real thing to come forth. And so that's what we're going to start to see. We're going to start to see the truth come forth, and it's going to it's going to be a purging. It's going to be a purging of the old man within us, and it's going to be a death of that old man. There's a lot of people talking about, ascending and having a higher self, a higher consciousness. We're very new age. And what I don't see is the nature of Christ. I see the riches of the kingdom, but I don't see the nature of the Father within them. And it's because it's only by submitting to the Godhead, Jesus Christ, the head, that we really start to be changed. Because what was he? He was sacrifice. His love was sacrificial. And so in order to receive his sacrificial love, when we receive his sacrificial love, we then sacrifice ourselves for our brethren. And that's the hard part. That's where that is an agape love. There's different types of love in the gospel and in the Bible, but the agape love is the sacrificial love. And that one is the one that Jesus came and brought. That's a godly love, and we don't see that in the earth right now. We don't see a brother laying his life down for brethren. We don't see that, and we see a lot of strife and a lot of control. We all want control. We all want our perfect little, but what will define, what the Lord will use to define his people from those that are not his people, is the radical obedience. Radical obedience is how they're going to be defined. And you'll see a significant change, a significant division. And that's because he's raising that standard up in the earth. He's raising, those that hold the truth, he's raising them up. And what that's going to do is that's going to divide. And so we'll see how this goes. I know that a lot of people are going to enter into what's called a wilderness season. And, I want you to allow it to purge you. I want it to allow it to kill you. It's not a great thing to say, but it's necessary. It says that those who participate in his death are the ones that participate in his resurrection. And one time I was being persecuted, to this point where I had to submit my will, even though I know this person was not true, and didn't really honor me and love me and respect me. I had to submit the most important thing to that person. And it was a submission to my will to the Lord. And I was crying to my dad, and he said, "Emily, Jesus could not persecute himself. Jesus could not kill himself. Somebody had to do it to him." And so you have to understand that this is a year of radical obedience, radical submission to the Lord. And those are how he's going to mark his own.